Hello again guys, long time no see, and I say long time no see simply because even though I uploaded a video a couple of days ago, I actually haven't filmed anything for this channel in a couple of weeks because if you watch my second channel, my vlogging channel, the family channel, you might have seen we moved. We're in a new house. I'm in my new temporary office space. I do have another office space in this house that I'm working on. We're gonna have to spend some time getting carpet and finishing it and everything, but for the time being, I'm in this room here. So it's definitely a mess. Just boxes everywhere, shelves everywhere. I don't really have a proper setup yet. We're still in the process of unpacking boxes and getting things where they're supposed to be, and I wanted to figure out a way to be able to get sort of a setup similar to what I had before, or something at least usable, because what I'm doing right now, I'm hand holding a camera, not the obvious best choice. I need to dig a tripod out of something, but to make do with what I have and to sort of segue into the video for today, I've put together what I call a passable, usable vlogging setup. And here it is. So, this might look a little complex, might look a little bit weird, but right in the center, of course, we have my primary camera, the one that I used to film everything with for this channel. It's the Sony a6300. I've got the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. Love that lens. However, there's a bunch of different Sony lenses you could swap that out for. In this relatively limited space that I'm in, I might actually swap it out for a little while for the Sony 10 to 18mm lens that I've got. And then, of course, I've got a little monitor on top of it. This is a Viltrox DC70 Mark II. It's actually got a bit of a problem, and I'm trying to figure that out. If I tap on this, you might be able to see, if I can get it to focus, yeah, everything is backwards. Not really a big deal because the stuff you actually see on the screen is as it should be. But that was a relatively inexpensive monitor, gets the job done. Over on this side, we've got just a very simple microphone. It's the Comica, I think it's the VM10. Made a video about it a while back. Decent sounding microphone. And then the two new pieces, the two new parts that actually made this for me. The first, obviously the one that sort of made this possible, it's the GorillaPod rig upgrade. So I've had this GorillaPod, the base, for a couple of years now, since like 2015. I think I paid like $35 for it. It's the SLR Zoom GorillaPod. It'll hold a mirrorless camera with no problem, and as you can see, it's holding the camera, it's holding a microphone, a small light, and the monitor. No problems whatsoever. But the rig upgrade takes whatever GorillaPod you've got, as long as it has this removable ball head, and allows you to add two more arms to it. Because yes, this little box that has a strap and a couple of pieces and parts to it, this little thing is $45. But if you want the entire kit that comes with the full GorillaPod, the one that will actually support like 11 pounds of weight, that will cost you $200. So this little $45 kit, I think it was $45, I was okay with that. And you can see down here at the bottom of the box what it's actually compatible with, the GorillaPod 5K, Focus, 3K, and SLR Zoom. So I have the SLR Zoom version, and it definitely does seem to be getting the job done. It allows me to have a camera with a monitor mounted on top of it. If you have a Panasonic camera that doesn't need that, then you can be better off without it. You've got your microphone mounted to the side and a small light mounted on the other side. That's the other really interesting part of this. A company called Aputure reached out a little while back. They actually sent me a few different lights, but this one I went out and purchased on my own. It's the Aputure Amaran ALM9, and it's just a super, super tiny light. I mean, just putting my hand here in front of it, you can see how small it is. It came with this little piece of diffusion material as well as a couple of color gels if you want to do different colors on it, but you just flip this switch here and it comes on, and you can see out of the box it's very bright, and there's 9 levels of sensitivity, so I can turn it up to be even brighter just by pressing a plus or a minus button on the side. That's the minus, and that's actually as bright as it goes. Then we'll take it all the way down to its dimmest. There you go. You can see it's got 9 LEDs inside of there. But without any further ado, let me go ahead and switch over to this other camera so things look and sound a little bit better. Okay, and we are now on the Sony a6300 using the Comica microphone. I can see that everything's kind of framed up appropriately using the monitor overhead. I do not have the Aputure light turned on yet because I wanted to see sort of a before and after. Now the lighting that I have set up in here, I'm using Philips Hue bulbs overhead, so they are very bright, and currently they're calibrated to the right sort of daylight temperature around 5500 Kelvin. But if you were not in a situation like this, let's say that we were with something like 2700 Kelvin, that'll make it a lot more yellow and orange and make it kind of look like you're on Mars. I've got my camera adjusted to 5500 because that's what I would prefer. And I've noticed if I use auto in a setting like this, it still just makes it look really orangey, and I don't prefer that. Additionally, you might be in a place where it's just really, really, really dim, and the camera can kind of adjust for that put my phone away, it gets a little bit more grainy, and it depends on your camera as to how well it's going to do. But then when you add in this little light, it's going to be kind of harsh and it's going to be kind of shaky, so I'm sorry. There we go. There's the light. It just immediately puts it back to the right kind of color temperature. And actually, that is the dimmest that this light will go. I mean, I've currently got my Philips Hue bulb set to like 7%, so the overhead lights are really, really dim. So this light is doing an awful lot. And like I said, that's the minimum that this will go. So if I just reach over to this light, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna block it for a minute. I'm gonna turn it up. I can keep going. It's got 9 levels of adjustment. All right. That's as bright as it goes, and you can see it's creating this massive shadow in the background, but this does allow me to have a setup where you can sort of see me and you can see what's going on. I can turn up the overhead lights and it's kind of casting some weird glare on me. I can completely turn off the other lights, and this thing is still putting out enough light that you can see what's going on here. You can see anything that I'm talking about. So this may not be the 100% perfect setup. I'm gonna put my lights back to the right color and turn them on so the background is illuminated properly, but one of these lights or multiple of these lights are definitely a good jumping off point. They're a little bit harsh. You can see it's just really accentuating the flaws of my face. There's not a whole lot that can fix that. You can change the lighting, but it's still gonna be my face. But I thought this was just a very neat, very quick setup. And what I paid for it, aside from what I paid for the camera, you know, you've got the GorillaPod I paid like $40 for, the light was $50, the GorillaPod accessory was $45. So you're looking at $150 to $200 in addition to whatever you paid for the camera to get the rest of the setup that makes it kind of movable, but still a much, much higher quality. This is something akin to what Casey Neistat might be using. He's not at the moment, but something he might have used at one point. So I guess let me know what you think of this. I know it's completely goofy looking. This is not something I would probably take personally out in public to use, but if I were setting up a shoot and I didn't want to take a huge amount of gear, like a huge amount of tripods and dollies and everything, the GorillaPod you can very easily attach to whatever surface. You can wrap it around poles and things. This little light you could detach and you can put it wherever you want to use it. The microphone, if you wanted to put it on a boom arm or something, you can do that technically, but having it on this little separate arm, I can move it around. And the monitor, of course, it's a very large 7-inch monitor, so it's significantly larger than the camera's monitor that was built in, so I can very easily see that everything is framed up and in focus. So I'm a big fan of this setup. For a very quick one-off vlogging setup, something that I can take when I go to visit my family or my in-laws, this thing is very nice. But I think that's where I'm gonna wrap it up for today. So if you'd like to know more about the two products I was mainly focusing on in this, the Amaran AL-M9 or the GorillaPod Rig upgrade, or just the GorillaPod Rig itself, which is like a $200 investment, I'll put links to all of those things down below. But let me know what you think of it. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe to receive more when they become available. Once all of this has been addressed, we'll get back to making regular videos very soon, and maybe we'll do a full tour of the new office whenever it's all said and done as well. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.